Hey guys, it is week 3 of our $300,000 challenge. If you're new here, my name is Riley. I own a lawn and landscape business, and in 2025, we did $240,000 in annual revenue. For 2026, this year, we are shooting for $300,000 in annual revenue. It is our third week. It's a little bit slow. It's been a weird winter. We hardly have any snow. We've plowed like 2 times and a couple, little cleanups of slush here and there. Bit of de-icing, but not really much from that. So been kind of looking for work where we can. Did a little bit of a cleanup job, as you can see some of the stuff in here. But I want to show you guys what it is that we've been doing in the meantime to prep for this year and make sure that we start off on the right foot. Last week we talked a bit about our pursuit of hiring a new employee. We got a job listing out, and we actually got a lot of applicants. I'm going to talk a little bit about the results of that this week. We also talked about cold calling for snow and ice jobs, just calling businesses and marketing our services to them. Talk a little bit about the results of that. And we're also working on some other stuff. We're working on I'm a small business. It's just, me and my wife, we own the business. We're not that big. We're pretty small, but I'm working on separating personal and business stuff, not necessarily in the sense of work-life balance, but in the sense of, keeping things separate and, people see me and then people see the business, and they're two separate entities, and what that looks like and how we're going about that. After reviewing over 130 different applications from Indeed, and I interviewed a couple dozen of those, maybe a few dozen actually. We sifted it down to a few different people, and we finally decided on one guy. So I sent the job offer over to him yesterday, and he accepted. And so he's going to get started March 1st. I mean, I know I said we don't have a whole lot of work, but we're really just trying to prep for when we do have work, because we know that March 1st hits, and then, we got to hit the ground running because things are going to get moving. Spring cleanups, thatching, aerating, and then mowing shortly after that. And so we're working on getting this guy onboarded now, and just get him all set up, and maybe have him come a little bit to do some snow plowing with us if it potentially snows over the next 30 days, which we hope it does, despite there not being any snow in the 10-day forecast. Something big that is different about this hire for us than previous hires is, I'll talk you through a little bit of what our previous hires have been. When I first started the business, I hired a guy who I previously worked with at another lawn and landscape company. Great guy. He was awesome. He worked with us for 2 years. He was 2 years younger than me. He had experience in it, but he ended up going off and doing another thing over there at another company. It was great. Had another guy who was kind of the same age as me, maybe about a year older. Hired my cousin who was, who's a few years younger than me. Another guy freshly out of high school who's, obviously a few years younger than me. And that's kind of it. I've had my brother-in-law here and there for some things. But that's kind of been it. And a lot of the people we've hired have been my age, younger, maybe a little bit older. And that's really it. That is it. We've never hired anyone over the age of 30. And this hire is the first time that we've ever done that. And I had to do a little bit of kind of self-reflecting, because I realized I have a little bit of a fear of hiring someone who's a bit older than me, a bit more experienced than me, because it feels like a lot of responsibility to, a lot of those people have, families, they've got kids, they got wives, they got homes, and they have to provide for them. And for me, it was difficult to kind of overcome that fear of also thinking do they feel like I have the ability to provide and to pay them, to keep work coming for them. It's less the fear of me being able to do that, but more of their thought against that. And so we hired, actually, the guy that we hired, is in that age range there. But we interviewed a good handful of people who were in between 30 and 40, which is the first time we've ever done that. I'll tell you what, though, it's a totally different market. It's a totally different pool of people. Not to say that there isn't people in their 20s who are good, but when you start looking at 30, 40-year-olds, there's just the experience is just different. And so we're super excited about it. We're looking forward to what this year is going to bring. He's going to be in a truck by himself, running a route, while I'm going to be out for most of spring. Probably going to be working about 2 days a week in the field, but just pounding pavement, busting my butt, trying to get as much work as possible. Hopefully hiring another guy come May. But this guy, his name's Jared. We're super stoked and we're super excited about that.
Good.
Last week we also talked about cold calling for snow contracts, and I did a good handful of that, and we got a few contracts from it, which is super exciting. So we got one coffee shop, which we actually did some previous work for, but they ended up going with a cheaper contractor. Then they came back to us because cheaper's not always better. Then we also got an office building as well. We got a large residential site, and we got I don't know what to call it, an HOA street. You know, it's a street all around the lake. It's about a mile long. You know, got a few dozen houses on it there, and it's inside a gated community. So we got those 4 places. We're super excited about them. All of them have de-icer included, which is good because if it doesn't snow, it's always going to be cold. It's always going to be cold, and there's going to be rain typically. And so if we're not making money plowing, we're at least making some money de-icing. So we're super stoked about that. We also got asked by a customer of ours that we have done a lot of work for. He kind of oversees a lot of different sites, but he asked us if we could quote 4 apartment buildings, 2 commercial like retail sites, and 4 auto parts stores. We're here in Coeur d'Alene. We're in Hayden, but it's kind of a greater Coeur d'Alene area. We only service Coeur d'Alene and Hayden, primarily just Hayden. Then there's Post Falls, which we used to service, but we don't anymore. And then past that, in the state of Washington, across the border, is Spokane. It's about a 30-minute drive to get over to Spokane. Now, it's a much larger market over there, so there's a lot of businesses over there. And this guy, we have contact with, he's got a lot of places that need work over there. But he's also had a hard time with some snow contractors over there. He asked me, he said, hey, could you please quote these? I would love if you would, could take care of them for us. It's a lot of places. It's not like I just add another, that's like another truck, maybe 2 trucks really. But I thought, well, maybe we could sub them out. We got a guy over there that we've subbed out some work before, and he does a really great job, and he's really reasonably priced. So I quoted them a little bit high. And then they ended up getting accepted. So we're super stoked about that, and our friend over there is going to be taking care of them. So hopefully that could bring in some good revenue as well. Obviously, we're not going to make the same amount as we would if we were taking care of it ourselves. Just a fraction of that because it's being subbed out. But we're excited for that if we get any snow. Something I've talked a lot about with my counselor, yes, I do see a counselor, is separating personal and business. And not, like I said earlier, not for the reason of work-life balance, because I really believe that work-life balance is a misunderstood and misused concept, but more for the idea of being able to have 100% focus in one area and 100% focus in the other area. When I'm doing my personal life, hanging out with my family, I want to be focused on just that. When I'm working, I want to be focused on just that, because I want to be able to give my all to each of those 100% and be able to maximize the opportunity in each of those places. And, when I started this business, technically I started mowing lawns in 2021. When I started doing that, I just started running things off of my personal email. I connected our CRM to that. I connected our Google profile to that. I connected everything to that. And it's not necessarily an easy thing to disconnect and stuff. And clients started getting to know that email. And that's just how it stayed. And I say personal email, it wasn't a personal email, it was our business name @gmail.com, which looks mildly professional and fine when you're, a 19-year-old kid. But as we grow, it's not professional at all. If it says, if it's not a custom URL, it just doesn't look professional. Also, it's hard to scale that. And so I've been working over the last few days on just getting my personal stuff just all separated. So the first thing we're starting with was I started with my email. So I went ahead and I created a separate email, Riley@soandso.com, the company name. I created another one as well, office@soandso.com for, all of to connect our CRM, our QuickBooks, our Google profile, all that stuff to it. With the idea that, as we scale, as we get a little bit larger and we hire maybe an office person, then that could be the email for that. But I've just been taking a lot of time to disconnect all those other things, redirect all of our emails from the old one to the new one, which is a hefty process and I'm really not enjoying, but it's given me a lot of clarity because at the end of the day, if I want to be done with work, I log off that email and I don't receive any more work emails. I can just have my personal email, which I really don't even use a whole lot. I don't need to. But I can just disconnect it. I don't need to be attached to that at all times. I don't need to have my Netflix password sending to my work email, and estimate request forms also sending on the same thread there. It just doesn't make any sense. Number 2 is phone number. Now this is a difficult one because phone numbers, it's like no one wants to carry around 2 phones. And so when I started my business, I didn't have 2 phones. I didn't want to have 2 phones. I didn't want to pay for 2 phones. I didn't have the money for that. And also, it's just annoying. You know what I mean? It's just annoying. You got to charge 2 of them. You got to keep track of 2 of them. 2 of them don't fit in a pocket very well. Last year, I went and got a new phone. And when I was there, the Verizon salesman knew that I had a business. I'd met him before. And he said, hey, do you have a separate line for your business? I said, no, I don't want another phone. He said, well, we can just attach another line to your phone. So I was like, oh, that's so cool. So I started doing that. Well, that was back in like April or March, and I've done nothing with that phone number. I've called a few people with it here and there, texted with it but it's not like, it just sits doing nothing in my phone. I don't switch over to it ever, mostly because I didn't feel like tackling that. It's challenging to switch everyone over. But along the lines of separating personal and business, I decided that was one of the things that I had to do was get that other phone number up and running as the business phone number. So we sent out a text blast to all of our customers, which we did also in the previous video about some separate things. But we sent out a text blast saying, hey, a little update. We talked about the email as well. Hey, old email, new email. If you want to get a hold of anyone, use this new email. Also, if you previously got into contact with the owner, it was at this phone number. Here's the new phone number. Just use this one here. Disregard the old one. I'm not telling them that it's my personal one. I'm just kind of phrasing it as like, we don't have it anymore because I don't want people knowing my personal cell or keeping it necessarily. And so we sent that out from the CRM and been getting more calls and more texts through my secondary number, which I'm super stoked about because I can turn that one off if I want. I can set a different voicemail for that one if I want. I can redirect for like a vacation notice if I want. Super easy. So the third thing that I'm working on is an office space. It's a bit of a bigger one. Currently, my office looks like the living room couch or the dining room table. I have a 2-year-old. I have a wife. I love spending time with them. But when I spend time with them, I want to just be spending time with them. And when I work, like I said, I want to just be working. It's a little hard to stay focused at home. And we're not a big business. We don't have a need to lease out an office space. And so I spoke with the owner of this building, of this shop that we rent, who happens to be my father-in-law. And I said, hey, could I build out a little office in the back corner of the shop, 10 by 10? And he's like, sure, go ahead. It's just raising the value of this place for him, which I have no issue with. So over the next few weeks, we're going to start working on this. I don't know exactly when I'm going to do it, but from this post here to this post here, we're going to frame it out, insulated, sheetrocked, vinyl flooring. Going to put a window, a little cadet heater in there, and it's going to be my little office space. There's going to be a loft up above it for storage, and this is going to be the place that I can bring my computer, get a desk in there, bring my computer, leave it here at night, not have to bring it home, send estimates, call customers, have a nice quiet place I can do that, and it's just really going to help separate my home from being a place of work. All right, so an update for our revenue so far this year. Like I said previously, $300,000 is the goal for the year. Historically, every previous year, January is the smallest year ever. We hardly make any money. And embarrassingly enough, we've made more money this year than we have in all of January and all the previous ones, and it's only like the 22nd right now. But we are currently sitting, again, we haven't done a whole lot of work. We've done a few plowing, a couple cleanups and stuff, and that's kind of it. We're sitting at $5,585. We have probably another $1,500 of work on the schedule right now. just some kind of cleanup work here and there. And if it snows, if it plows, then we're going to be doing that obviously as well. And I'll bring in a few more thousand. Hey guys, that's all we have for this week. I really appreciate you watching the video. We'd really appreciate also if you would subscribe or follow, depending on if you're on YouTube, Instagram, or TikTok. It really helps push our videos to more business owners like you guys. And yeah, we're super excited to see what 2026 brings.